Today is Thursday, May 23rd, and I just finished a book. It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han, and this is the sequel to The Summer I Turned Pretty, and it's a three-part series, so this is book 2 in the series. And now I'll be looking forward to reading book 3, but it was also made into a TV show, and I watched season 1 last summer, so then I was thinking, oh, it's been a while since I read that. They already have season 2 on the Hulu or wherever it was made. I think it was Hulu. So season 2 is already on there, but I wanted to read the book first, so got this done. Now I can watch season 2, and then I think season 3 comes out soon, so I would have to read the third book before that. But I did enjoy it. I rated it 4 stars. I don't know if I loved it as much as the first one, even though I rated it the same, but just overall story, it didn't have quite the same feel, wasn't as happy, or just some more serious things went on, but I still really enjoyed it. It was definitely a fast read for me. So if you like young adult books, kind of about coming of age, teenage life, especially in the summer at a summer beach house, I think you would like this series. And if you enjoyed the first one, I definitely think you would like the second one. So I would recommend it. And I've really been enjoying the physical books lately. I've been getting them from the library because a lot of books that I want are not available on Libby or Hoopla, or if they are, they have very long waits, and you can only, I think, reserve 5, and I usually max out the 5, and they have long wait times. So I've been getting the books I feel like reading or I'm in the mood for from the library. So the last couple have been physical books, and I have to say I've been enjoying it. Well, it does make it more challenging to read at night because when I'm on a device with the Kindle app, I don't need lights or anything. I can just read the device and it's illuminated for me so I can see. Whereas these, I have to have a light on. And with Liam in our room, it's a little bit more challenging. But even so, I've been enjoying turning the pages and having that physical book. I probably won't be reading all my books this way. I'll probably still go back and forth between this and ebooks, but right now I'm enjoying the physical copies. Let me know what you prefer. Are you more of an e-reader? Do you prefer the physical books, or you kind of go back and forth? I'd love to know what you think about that. But that is all for now, so I will see you with my next book. It is Friday, May 31st, and I just finished another book. This was The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, and in this book we're following the main character of Millie, and Millie has some things that have gone on in her past that she doesn't really want people to know about, and she's trying to move on from that past and start over. So she gets a job as a maid working for a wealthy family, even though she has no prior maid experience. And the woman of the house, even though she's the one that hired her, starts to act differently toward her and not be very nice, and is pretty cruel, accuses her of things that she hasn't done. And from there we take some twists and turns, and I did predict most of the twists. One was a surprise, but the big ones I did kind of got a feeling about and did predict. So I rated it 4 stars because it was a pretty fast read for me. It did keep my interest. I enjoyed it, but because I wasn't surprised or shocked by any of the twists, I didn't give it 5 stars. But if you're looking for a good, I don't know if you'd call this mystery or more thriller, probably a little bit more thriller, but I didn't find it to be scary in any way or super ultra suspenseful, but it was engaging, fast-paced, like I said, kept my interest. So, and there is a sequel, and actually I just saw even a 3rd book in this series, so at some point I'll probably check out the sequel, see if it lives up to this one, and from there decide if I want to continue on with book 3. But let me know, have you read this one? Did you enjoy it? I would love to hear your thoughts. And I will see you soon with another book. It is Sunday, June 9th, and I just finished an audiobook. And not audiobook, I just finished an ebook, and it was The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. I believe I've read books from Rachel Hawkins before, but I cannot remember what they are. But I enjoyed this one. I rated it 5 stars. It was a fast read for me and kept my interest. Basically, it's about this main character of Cam who inherits his family's money or fortune, but wants nothing to do with it or them. So he moves away and still, I think, controls the fortune or has the fortune, but doesn't really utilize it. Hold a moment. But then a family member dies and he has to return to the family estate to deal with this family member dying. And he kind of is, he really doesn't want to do it, but his wife kind of convinces him to go. And lots of family secrets come to light. There's surprises and deaths, murders. We flash back and forth between time. There's letters that help move the story along. So I don't want to give too much away, but if you like a good kind of, I don't know if I'd call it thriller, so I guess you'd say more mystery, then you might like this one, so check it out. It is Friday, June 21st, and I just finished a ebook. It was The 7-Year Slip, and I'm forgetting the author's name, but I'll have a picture of the book on here so you can see their name, and I'll of course link it in the description as well. What is going on with my voice? But I really enjoyed this one. It was a definite 5-star for me. It's basically a love story, but it also includes time travel. We jump back and forth in time 7 years, hence the title, and the 2 main characters are kind of, so it's a story basically of finding the right person at the wrong time, or the timing not being right. So that's kind of the theme throughout. And also it's about following your dreams, finding the right path that you want to take. Of course, there's some magical elements in that this apartment takes the main character back 7 years, but then she'll be in present day in the same apartment. So it was kind of a different twist on a love story. Definitely kept my interest. I liked the 2 main characters. One's name is James, but he goes by Iwan or Iwan. And then the other girl, the main character, is Clementine, but she has a nickname of Lemonade. There you go, unique names. But I just find it interesting that James seems to pop up everywhere now. I never noticed the name before, but since I've been dating him and married to him, I swear James is everywhere, and I found that it's a very common, popular name. Anyway, if you like love stories, romance, books set in New York City, books that time travel or jump back in time, I definitely think you would like this one. It would be a good summer read for you. If this, who knows if you'll be seeing this in summer, but if not, it's really good to read anytime, but it would also be a nice, light, fun one for summer as well. So there you go. That's the latest. I'm going to hopefully read an especially summery one next because I'm in the mood for those summer beach reads. So hopefully that'll come available at the library and I will share that one with you next. It's July 7th and I just finished a book called Everyone in My Family Has Killed Somebody. And it was a mystery, sort of suspense, but I'd say more mystery. And when I started out reading it, I thought it was going to be a 5-star for me. But as it went on, I kind of lost interest. There was a lot of characters. I had trouble keeping the characters straight. Found myself reading it but not absorbing it. So partway through, I did something that I don't normally do, and I switched from the ebook to the audiobook, hoping that then I could follow it a little better if I could be listening to it. I sometimes would listen and read at the same time. But basically, it's hard for me to even describe it to you because of the fact that I don't remember it that well, because it wasn't absorbing that well. But it's kind of written from the perspective of this author, Ernest, or Ern for short. And the one thing I did like about it is that he often kind of, as you would call it, breaks the fourth wall, in that he's kind of talking directly to you, the reader, and taking himself out of the story for a minute and into your world to explain things to you. And he also does a lot of kind of foreshadowing or teasing, saying, this is going to happen in chapter 7. This is going to happen on page 242. So if you were someone who really wanted to, you could skip ahead to those sections. But I just followed the story as it went. But since I can't give you a super good description, I'm going to read the book description for you. So it's everyone in my family has killed someone. I think I said that a little bit incorrectly at first, and it's Ernest Cunningham #1. So apparently they're going to write other books of this series, and it's by Benjamin Stevenson. Everyone in my family has killed someone. Some of us, the high achievers, have killed more than once. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it is the truth. Some of us are good, others are bad, and some just unfortunate. I'm Ernest Cunningham. Call me Ern or Ernie. I wish I'd killed whoever decided our family reunion should be at a ski resort. But it's a little more complicated than that. Have I killed someone? Yes. Who was it? Let's get started. Everyone in my family has killed someone. My brother, my stepsister, my wife, my father, my mother, my sister-in-law, my uncle, my stepfather, my aunt, me. So you could see with all those people, and all those people being murderers, how it was a little hard for me to follow. So I rated it 3 stars because I did enjoy it, found it interesting, but just hard to follow and didn't exactly keep my interest. So there you go. That's the latest. I am rather enjoying the book I'm currently reading. It's a beach read, so stay tuned to find out what that is and what I think of it once I've completed the whole thing. But I hope you're enjoying your summer reading, and I'll talk to you soon. It is Monday, July 29th, and I just finished reading the Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. And this took me a little longer to get through than it normally would, just because I had my summer camp that I was teaching. I wasn't reading regularly at lunch, and then I didn't read a lot of nights before bed either, so I just went stretches without reading it, so it took me a little longer than usual, but it was a really good book. I rated it 5 stars. I'd say it's probably one of my favorites I've read for the year so far, and definitely a great summer read. If you haven't read it, I would recommend it. It takes place in Nantucket, obviously, based on the title, and it's this old hotel that's had multiple owners, was run down, nobody wanted to buy it because of the expense, and then this billionaire who lives in England decided that he wanted to buy it, renovated it, fixed it all up, made it really nice, top of the line, plus unique as well, but also fitting with the Nantucket vibes, ocean, beachy vibes and stuff. And he got it with the reasoning of he wanted to, basically 2 women's opinions mattered to him. One who he was in love with from his past, and the other being this woman who did hotel reviews on her, she had an Instagram account. I forget exactly what name she went by, but she had this Instagram account called Hotel Confidential, where she would go in and anonymously rate and review hotels, Airbnbs. So they would never know when she was coming, but she would give reviews of what she thought of it. And then she had a rating system of keys. So she might give a place 3 keys, 4 keys, but she had never given a place 5 keys, which was the most keys you could get. So this billionaire did this, sounds silly, but mostly with the goal of wanting to be the first hotel or first place that she reviewed to get 5 keys, since she never gave 5 keys. And so the new hotel manager, who goes by Lisbeth, is aware of this, and all of the staff is aware of this, but of course they don't know who it is or when they'll be coming throughout the summer. And in the beginning they struggle to get guests because people aren't sure. This hotel's been closed for so long, and they're just not sure about it. Plus, another aspect is that the hotel is haunted by a ghost named Grace. Because Grace, I think in the 20s, the person she was seeing there was married, and their wife got jealous and ends up killing Grace. And hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler, but they say that right in the beginning, so it's not really a spoiler because it is an important premise throughout the book. But the whole idea being that Grace can't leave this hotel till somebody knows what happened to her. But since it happened so long ago, none of those people are around anymore, and there's really no record of it. So Grace is stuck at this hotel and haunts it, but it's not scary or anything. Grace is a good ghost, so there's nothing really scary about the book. But there's a lot of characters because there's all the people that work at the hotel, but I was able to keep track of who everybody was. I didn't have any issue with that because I know some other books I've talked about where there's a lot of characters, I can't keep it straight who's what. But I think because this one really held my interest, I knew who all the characters were. I kept wanting to read to find out more, and it was just a good story, entertaining story, had a lot of different elements. Again, kept my interest, kept me wanting to read ahead and know what was going to happen to these characters. So, a good summer read, a good read all around that I enjoyed. Again, 5 stars and one of my favorites of the year. So if you haven't checked it out, I recommend it. I have read some of her other books. I'd have to go back and look at my ratings to see what I thought of them, but this one being most recent sticks out in my mind as being the one I liked the best. But again, I'd have to go back and read what I thought of the others to know that for sure. But a good one. So hopefully this 5-star streak will continue with the next books that I read. I just finished an ebook by Christina Lauren. This was The Paradise Problem, and I've liked many books of theirs. This one was not a top favorite. While I still enjoyed it, I didn't like it as much as some of their others that I've read. And I rated it 3 stars. And it's basically about, it's kind of a, somewhat of a fake dating trope. Basically, there's this girl who's kind of struggling. She's not making a lot of money. She's just lost her job. Her dad is sick and she's trying to pay his medical bills. And in the past, she met this guy, and I forget exactly why, but they got married in college. If it was for one of them to stay, or I forget exactly the reasoning, but they never broke off the marriage, even though they've moved out, lived separate lives, were never actually a couple or anything. But the guy, whose family is very wealthy and has high expectations of him, and he hasn't really wanted to follow the family path in order to get his inheritance, has to have stayed married. So they know about this marriage. He told them about it. He kind of made up what he knew about her. And his sister is getting married and they're all traveling to an island for this wedding. And so he has to convince his family that he's been married to this woman for 5 years when they barely know each other, and she agrees to it because he says he'll pay her and she needs the money to pay for her father's medical bills and just to survive. So she agrees to it, and so they're trying to convince the family that they're in love and have been married, and they plan on the date that it's okay to get divorced, to just then get divorced because he'll have gotten his inheritance. But the father, who's a big jerk, and the oldest brother, who's always looking for the father's approval, both are kind of suspicious of this marriage and trying to find out more. And yeah, so it's kind of taking you through that, through the wedding festivities, the grotesqueness of how wealthy this family is, but also how much they spend money on unnecessary things when there's other people who can't even afford to pay the rent, or in this case their father's medical bills. So it kind of gets into that a little bit, and yeah, it kept my interest. I liked the two main characters. There was a little more of the R-rated stuff than I needed. I mean, a little bit of that is, I don't mind, but when it becomes a quarter or half of the book, I'm like, okay, enough already, we get it. Like, I don't need to be reading about all of this. But that's just my opinion. I know other people may feel differently and may love that aspect of books, but I rather just have the story and the plot and less of that stuff. So that was partly why it wasn't a higher rating for me, but also just because while I enjoyed the story, it just wasn't a 5-star for me. It wasn't as good as some of those others that I've read. But now I'm on to a thriller, which I've just started, but I'm hoping isn't going to be too scary for me, another Riley Sager book, so we will see how that goes. It is Wednesday, August 28th, and I just finished an ebook called The Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and I've read other books from Riley Sager and have enjoyed them. I would call this a suspenseful thriller. It definitely took me on a journey and definitely had me some nights not being able to go to sleep because I needed to find out what happened. Other nights I had to stop reading because it was right before bed, and I knew if I kept reading I wouldn't sleep that great because I'd be thinking about the spooky things that went on in the book. It contains mysterious deaths, ghosts. What else can I say? It takes place in this kind of community neighborhood street, and we kind of go back and forth between when this boy Ethan was a child in the early 90s to now when he's an adult, I want to say in his 30s or 40s. And when he was a kid, his best friend Billy was taken or went missing, or something happened to Billy, and nobody ever really found out what happened to Billy, and it has haunted him pretty much his entire life. He has insomnia. It definitely affects him every day of his life. And he does move away from this street in the town, but then his parents end up moving to Florida, I believe. So he moves back into his childhood home, and when he does, new mysterious, suspicious things start to happen related to Billy's disappearance in the past. People from his past come back, and it definitely, as I said, took me on a journey, had some twists and turns. I kept thinking, I've got this figured out. I know what's going on. And then that would turn out to not be the case. And I didn't have it all figured out, but I guess that's what kind of keeps it interesting, keeps you engaged with it. And I rated it 4 stars. Because it did keep my interest, did entertain me, I did enjoy it. Just wasn't quite a 5-star for me. I don't know if it was the creepiness factor or what, but wasn't quite a 5-star, but definitely a 4-star. So if you're looking for a good spooky thriller, check that one out.